Welcome to Package Your Genius. I'm your host, Amanda Miller Littlejohn. I'm a former print journalist turned PR and personal branding pro, and I am here to help high achievers like you bring your genius ideas to life. Whatever gift you have to give the world, I want to be a catalyst for your next genius move. If you're ready to stop overthinking it and start putting yourself out there, you're in the right place. Let's go. Earlier this week, I was hiking a trail in Rock Creek Park. My new morning routine, or part of my new morning routine. And it was about 3 or 4 days into the week, and I'd been hiking this trail with increasing intensity every day leading up to this day. And I remember that day, I felt really tired. I felt kind of worn out. Like when you haven't been exercising regularly and then you say, okay, I'm going to run 5 miles. And your body tells you, no, ma'am, you are not running 5 miles without being sore, without feeling your muscles aching, and just without being reminded that you haven't been exercising. So I had decided that this hike was going to be a part of my new morning routine because I dropped the kids off. I grabbed my coffee, I journal, and then, hey, there's all these trails. Why not walk one? And I didn't intentionally set an exercise goal for myself, and I did it on purpose because I am trying to frame this morning time as not my quote unquote exercise time, but more of my self-care and quiet time, my thinking time, my time that's just for me. And I know that one of the things I need to do is just to get more physically active. So I thought this would be an easy way to get back on the horse. But anyway, I added the hike to the morning routine, and maybe 3 days into it, I could really feel my body responding. My calves were sore. I I just felt it, right? And I remember I was on a hill. I was going down a hill actually, and I got like a cramp in my leg, and I had to pull over to the side of the road, lean on a tree, and get this cramp out of my leg because I'm literally in the middle of the forest. So how am I going to get back to my car? Like, what am I going to do? Anyway, I did some calf stretches and got my legs together and continued on down the hill. Ended up completing my full hike and was fine. I pushed through, but on my way back up the hill, coming back because I do a loop, I remember, I had started out the day feeling tired, and I remember coming up the hill and wondering, okay, am I going to make it up this hill? Like I really don't feel well. And I stopped, paused, and told myself, just take your time. This is no big deal. You can get through this hill. And so I started going back up the hill, and, I'm like chugging my way up this hill, and I'm breathing hard. I'm feeling it all in all of my muscles that haven't been used. And I am just really just present to the fact that I'm out of shape, number one, but also just I haven't been feeling the best. Had like a sinus infection. I have this recurring sinus infection that I get every time the seasons change. So that had started to kind of flare up. So I start up this hill, and I remember at a certain point, I thought, I am not going to be able to get up this hill. I'm not going to be able to get to the top. But I just focused and kept going. So eventually I get to the top of the hill, and the hill on this particular trail at the top, it kind of levels off into this plateau, and then it kind of goes down a little bit. So at one point, I'm feeling like I'm going to pass out and have to stop. But then once I get to the top of the hill, I'm coming down the hill and I've got the momentum of gravity, and I was able to coast. And there's a little spot in the trail where I can cut my hike short and just go back to my car, or I can keep going and make a loop and kind of take the long way to the car to get a little more mileage in. And the way I was feeling on the way up that hill, you would have thought someone was going to need to airlift me out of there. But by the time I made it to the top of the hill and then was coming down the other side, saw the turnoff point where I could cut away to get to the car, I had recovered and felt fine and felt good enough to keep going and take the long way and make that loop. And in that moment, it just made me think about how many times we don't think we have the gas to get to where we're going. We are really tempted to give up because we feel like we don't have anything left, literally, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. We just don't have anything left. But in that moment, I realized how many times in my life I have thought I didn't have anything left, but out of necessity, if I had to keep going, I kept going, and I realized that I did. And so often, pushing through that really hard period or that really tough spot did give way to being able to kind of coast on the other side. And so I thought about that and wanted to share that with you. But another thing I wanted to share with you was I've really been thinking about my perspective and the way I'm positioning this morning routine. So one of the reasons why I didn't want to put the exercise in there was because I really just wanted to do something that felt good and that I could look forward to every day. And not to say that I don't look forward to the exercise, but I know how I am. I can put pressure on myself to reach specific goals. And then when I don't reach those goals, I beat myself up. And so if I'm saying, okay, this is my morning routine, and a part of my morning routine means that I am going to, walk or run at least 2 miles, and I don't do that, and I don't check that off of my to-do list, I can feel like I didn't accomplish something, and that really drains my energy. It's just a mental thing that I have. So I wasn't attaching the exercise to my morning routine intentionally, but somehow, because I took the pressure off of it, it has become something that I showed up for every single day this week. And I'm really enjoying it, and I'm reframing it not as something that I have to do, but something that I get to do for myself. But that brings me to earlier in this week when I missed a day for the podcast challenge. So Wednesday, which was also September 11th, it was actually that same day, the same day of the crazy hill that I almost didn't make it to the top of and back down for. But I remember that day I just wasn't feeling good, and I didn't feel good on the hike, but I pushed through and I felt kind of good after, but then later I didn't feel good again. And the time that I had kind of earmarked for the podcast, I was just feeling very, very drained, and I didn't feel good. And I started to kind of go back and forth with myself about, okay, I don't want to lose the momentum of this challenge. I don't want to stop. I don't want to miss a day. So let me get on here and say something. But then I checked my kind of internal conversation and said, not that it doesn't matter, but ultimately, Amanda, if you don't feel well, you don't feel well, and it's okay. And just because you miss a day and you're kind of interrupting the challenge and you're not kind of finishing it 100%, you can still come back tomorrow when you're feeling better. And if you don't have 30 episodes for this month, you'll still have 29, which is still an incredible feat. And, you should listen to your mind and to your body. They're telling you they need to rest. They're telling you that, you can't put more on them. You've pushed yourself already today. There's no need to push yourself any further. And usually for me, if something is left undone like that, it really bothers me and nags at me. But in that moment, it felt like the right thing to do, to take care of myself and to listen to my body and to listen to my mind and just to prioritize my well-being and how I felt in that moment. So, if you've been following the challenge, you heard that I came back with another episode the next day. And here I am again today with today's episode, which was actually supposed to be my interview with the New York Times editor, but we have had to reschedule our interview. So that will be hopefully coming out next week. But I say all that to say that if you're anything like me, if you're a high achiever who has essentially gotten to where you are by pushing yourself, and sometimes even pushing yourself past the point that that little voice in your head is telling you to push yourself to, and you find yourself sometimes dropping the ball or not doing everything that you want to get done, I just want you to know that I tried dropping the ball this week. I actually allowed myself to let something go undone and then not feel bad about it and to pick up where I left off the next day, and everything was fine. I lived. I'm still in the challenge. I still feel really good about the challenge. It didn't ruin everything. And I needed the rest that I allowed myself to get that day. So here we are. And the same thing with the health piece. The following day when I went to the trail, I told myself, because prior to that, I think I had started alternating hiking, just walking with jogging. So I was going back and forth. And I said, you know what? I'm not trying to close all the rings on my Apple Watch today. If they close, they close. If they don't, they don't. Today, this hike in the woods is just about me and me being around these trees, because I love these trees, and hearing the breeze and hearing the birds sing and letting my mind wander and feeling my body move. My body does not have to move. I don't have to run a marathon today to have done something healthy for my body, right? Like, I allow myself to release that pressure from myself and almost like be kind to myself. And in that moment, it was easier to get it done. Like, it felt kind. So saying all that to say, if you're someone who maybe your self-talk is more aggressive, right? So maybe you tell yourself that you've got to get this done or else, or what kind of mom are you if you don't X, Y, and Z, or what kind of business owner are you, or what kind of expert are you, or whatever you are. And I know for me, sometimes that's how I hype myself up, but I tried something different. I tried being gentle. I tried giving myself grace. I tried softening the self-talk, and it worked for me. So I just wanted to share that with you. I hope it's helpful. I know that this podcast is about how can we get to our next level? How can we spark the change that we want to see in ourselves and ignite the mission that we have for our lives, and be obedient to our callings and actually do the things that have been placed on our heart to do. But if you're juggling that particular mission with a day job, with a family, with community commitments, so often you can fall to the bottom of your priority list, your to-do list. And I just wanted to come here and remind you today that it's important to not only make the time and the space for yourself, but to also be gentle with yourself. You're doing great. You're doing a lot. And sometimes things are going to not necessarily get checked off your list, but that doesn't mean you can't pick up the very next day and re-engage yourself into your routine. So the last 2 days, Thursday and Friday of this week, I decided I just wanted to be very gentle with myself on the trail. So Monday through Wednesday, I was adding intensity every day. I was going a little further every day and trying to jog a little more every day. But Thursday and Friday, I said, you know what? I'm just showing up. I'm just here and I'm walking. I'm not just sitting here. I'm actually walking, and I walked almost 2 miles both days. So nothing to sneeze at, but I didn't force myself to stay on this upward trajectory when it began to be too much. And the same thing with the podcast challenge. There was a day when I just wasn't up to it. And so I didn't force myself to record an episode when it was going to be too much for me. And the week has wrapped, and I feel good about my choices on both ends. I still feel really good about this challenge, and I feel amazing about getting moving again with the hiking, because I don't know about you, but after a long stint of really being a couch potato and just not prioritizing movement, it can be super hard to get going again. So I'm really hopeful that this will be the start of something that I can sustain, especially in terms of my schedule and kind of how I'm building it into my daily life. But as for you, as you go into the weekend, maybe it's the weekend when you're catching up on this episode, if you have been burning the candle at both ends, remember to give yourself some grace and remind yourself of how far you've come. 3 weeks ago, I wasn't walking any miles each week. And this week, I've walked 10 miles. That's crazy. That's awesome. Did I run the whole way? No. A month ago, I think I had 2 podcast episodes. And by today, I will have had 12 episodes. And it's only the 13th. So that's amazing. Don't lose sight of the progress that you're making because you're so focused on perfection. So that's my message for you guys today. Thanks for being on this journey with me. I would be remiss if I did not tell you about all of the ways that you can engage with me further. You've probably heard about Package Your Genius Academy and Maximum Exposure. Basically, my school is having an open enrollment season. So we are interviewing new students for our programs and getting to know you and whether or not you'd be a good fit for what we're doing. So if you go to packageyourgeniusacademy.com, you can find out about both the Visibility Academy and the Maximum Exposure PR Mastermind. You can apply for one or both, but either way, when we schedule the call to talk with you and learn more about you, we'll let you know which program we think would work best for you, if either works best for you. And sometimes it does work out that neither program is a fit, but I'm always happy to make a referral to either someone else or another program that I know that may be the right fit for you. But right now, we are looking for driven high achievers who are really serious about coming out from behind the shadows and making themselves visible, because they know that visibility is one of the key components to them getting to their next level and really sharing their message, the message that they were given to share in this world, really getting that out to the masses. So if visibility and just clarity on what exactly it is that you have to say and share, what you've been entrusted with, how do you get to that? How do you package that up in a way that other people understand that? And then how do you spread it like wildfire? That's what we are in the business of doing at Package Your Genius Academy. I've always said that I want my work to allow me to be a voice for the voiceless, to speak up for people who can't speak for themselves, but to also amplify the voices of people who maybe don't have communications training or journalism training or marketing training, and they have amazing messages, are doing amazing work and can really help other people, but they just need a little bit of help on the comms and marketing and self-promotion side. So I want to be just that for you. www.packageyourgeniusacademy to learn more and to apply. And if you have any questions, feel free to ping me on social media. I'm at Package Your Genius on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter and LinkedIn and all over the web. So check us out. And also, last but not least, If you would like to connect with me and maybe connect over these episodes, you can join my free Facebook community for Package Your Genius. It is called Package Your Genius. Define, refine, and elevate your personal brand. You can search for Package Your Genius in Facebook groups, and we should come up, but I'll also include a link to the Facebook group in our show notes. All right. I hope you've had an amazing week so far, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.